What's going on, guys? August from Quarter Cows here, taking over the Cody Chronicles?
No. Code Breakaroo.
I'm pretty sure it's Cody Omega.
It might be.
No.
It's definitely Cody Alpha.
It's definitely Cody Alpha.
Welcome back to Code Breaker, where we crack the code on, just whatever we feel like talking about.
All right. Well, this is one dumpster fire of an intro. But speaking of dumpster fires, the year 2017 has been gone for almost a month now. Over 2 months now.
Yeah, it's been gone for a little bit.
Yeah. But we are still talking our favorite, not the best, of course.
Yes.
Let's make that distinction. Our favorite movies of 2017.
Our top three.
Our top three, of course. So, starting with your third favoritist movie in no particular order.
Yeah, like I gotta stress that out. These are in no specific order. It's not in order of importance. Importance. There's no imports here. So, no Godzilla films, unfortunately. Not in order of priority or importance to me. These are just my three favorite things as far as the silver screen to come out of a really crap year for a lot of people. Even good old Hollyweird. They didn't, there's a lot of movies that came out, but most of them were superhero flicks. So, it was kind of Marvel's year a little bit.
Yeah, well, besides Marvel, I think it was kind of besides Marvel and It,
yeah,
I believe it was like a pretty bad year for the box office altogether.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I guess I'll just start by giving out, personal favorites that didn't really make the list. It is one of them. Also, Wonder Woman was immaculate. And just because we're shooting off the cuff, I can't really think of any others off the top of my head. But man, what is that movie? I actually just saw it, but I think it still counts. Split.
Oh,
that's
okay,
what it was.
Yeah.
That movie is really good. And if I would have seen it before, it would have probably made my list. I'm not really that big of a fan of Shamalama Ding Dong. But, he's all right. And, but yeah, Split was actually really, really good. But yeah, I want to start with one that made a couple lists. And honestly, this one made my list because I had high hopes for it. But once I saw trailers for it, I didn't really think it was going to be that great just based on the CGI, and I've mentioned it several times on here. My vote is always going to be for practical effects over CGI because I hate the idea of film sets just being green screen, just giant green rooms. And if you see some of the movies, like if you see Man of Steel or any the Avenger movies or anything like that, and you see what they actually filmed versus what was on screen, it is so lame, so it's a lot of them were just really, really corny. But Justice League, man, I had so much fun with Justice League. It was kind of everything I wanted it to be. It got a little bit funny, but it's kind of fun watching the DC movies just in the fact that, they're kind of the stories of Batman in a weird way. Of, at first he was, real dark and brooding, and then, he quit being so serious. I kind of like that aspect if you kind of look at it, depending on, his mood is dependent on who he's around, kind of.
Yeah. No, Justice League, I wouldn't say it's a good movie by any stretch. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
I actually had kind of fun with it just because it didn't take itself so seriously.
Right.
A lot of it, you got Superman with a personality, which is weird.
Yeah. It's been said, Chris said it on Chris Chronicles. Something like that on a Pokemon video.
Anyways, no, and it's also fun, Batman just being a weird goofball.
Uh-huh.
But it's just a lot of fun. It didn't feel so much as we're being attacked by...
flying Legos.
Yep. No, it didn't feel so much as we tried to force 3 different movies that just didn't get, panned out. It felt like a full movie, There were some really silly parts, and there was a lot of fun action in it, but... I think Justice League puts DC in a better place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it actually, when Batman vs. Superman came out, Yeah, we're fans of it. Some of us are. Not him. I don't. He doesn't want to be lumped in with our ilk. But for me and Chris have actually had long conversations about Batman vs Superman. How like everything kind of like none of it made sense. They started a lot of plots, but he stood firm that like as the movies go on, we're gonna see some of those plots unveil. And honestly, seeing Justice League made me appreciate Batman vs Superman even more. And you kind of see where like when Barry Allen shows up in BVS. And says like, hey, he's got to win or whatever he says. It kind of makes a little bit more sense. Honestly, it just made me want to watch it again. And there were a lot of parts in it that I had a lot of fun with. The CGI was a little overkill.
CGI was real bad for how much they used it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Steppenwolf, right? That was his name?
Yeah, he was just a CGI bad guy.
He looked like he came out of a PS2.
He really did.
Just Justice League game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I thought he was the villain on a Mortal Kombat. I thought it was Shinnok.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't understand why he didn't go practical. Other than that, it was an enjoyable movie. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. If you take it for what it is and just like turn your brain off and quit trying to take it seriously, it's a fun little romp. Wonder Woman again steals the show. The big selling point was Aquaman. Like a lot of people thought Aquaman was just like the best part of the movie. And yeah, like Barry Allen, like I got my little disputes with it, but Barry Allen, they could have easily just said that was Wally West, just for how kooky and goofy and funny he was, But yeah, like, and there were some things, obviously, like, that there's always something that you kind of, like, dispute, and you're just kind of like, that's kind of stupid. Like, the whole mustache thing did not bother me.
It didn't.
I
not as much as I thought. There were a couple of scenes where I'm like, oh, yep, that's a thing. But
yeah,
as far as that, not too bad. There's sometimes where Batman was just making real weird faces, though. That was kind of weird. But again, that goes back to his fun goofballness.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, there were some parts in it where he's actually talking to Alfred, and all I can think is, like, man, Affleck got some Botox for this movie. Like, his face is just way too smooth. Yeah. Like, it's almost smoother than Cyborg's at this point. And Cyborg's is not real, so I'm kind of thinking he was like, hey, could you throw some, get rid of these laugh lines, for me? but no, all in all, I had a blast with that movie.
No, I think it puts a DC in a better place. It looks like they've got a direction now. Mm-hmm. As somebody who's more of a casual fan, it looks like they have a better direction, and hopefully they don't have to go back and reboot everything.
Right.
Anyways. Beyond that, your number 2.
My number 2, I'm gonna, man, we're already at 8 minutes. I'm long-winded, if you haven't figured that out yet.
Oh, there's a video coming.
I'm sorry, I get told that all the time. I'm actually a big Twilight Zone fan of the old black and whites, and I loved watching from like when it was like more of a thriller, and like some of it was just like mess with your mind stuff, and then like when they kind of went into like the 1950s or 60s when the idea of like aliens came into picture, so like a lot of the episodes from Twilight Zone had to do with like alien invasions and stuff, all the way back to just like fun little stories like I can't even think of the name of it at the top of my head, but using that to pick my number 2, which was this movie made by Peele.
Yep.
Yeah, it was made by
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Yeah, and it's called Get Out. And I loved it because it felt like an episode of The Twilight Zone. Yeah. It really felt like that. Even when like the big twist at the end when you find out actually what's going on, like it kind of takes you a minute to get your brain around, but once you really just kind of it's one of those moments where like if you just pause it for a sec and think about it, and then like unpause it, like you're right on board, and it's fun,
Yeah, and this is his first time like directing like a full length movie, and it's fantastic. It was up for all kinds of awards. And I mean, like even the character, like all the actors, like performances in it, like like the mom just incredibly just creepy as she's just
turning
that spoon.
The hypnosis of people and
the way he like made that, like visualized that, kind of like the sunk where he's what is it called, the sunken, the upside down
not the upside down, but like the idea, like because everyone's had that dream where it's like they're not in control of their own body. Or like they're just like the real them is just like pushed in the back, their actual consciousness. So I loved it, like it was a lot of fun. It was really scary. It does they go through all the classic horror movie tropes of like, just like you don't know what's going on. It's the fear of the unknown. But then when you actually find out what's going on, it's still scary. It's still eerie. They go through the whole thing, like who's actually in on it. Is the girlfriend into it? Like it, or is she not? Does she even know about it? And then like they explain that. And then like by the time he actually gets saved by, and he actually gets out, little Freudian slip there. But like when he actually gets out, the person who helps him, I sat there and watched it wondering if this person was in on it. So like it leaves you with a little bit of paranoia. Like if you haven't seen Get Out, go see it. Even if you're not like a horror movie fan, it's not
much that scary. It's more suspenseful, honestly.
Yeah, it plays on just your fears, and it really just ramps up the paranoia, and then just kind of, it's really cool how like some movies can rely on a certain emotion from the audience, but has to implant that emotion first. And I feel like Get Out first makes you paranoid, and then just plays on your paranoia, and that's the focus of the fear. So like by the end of it, you're just paranoid of like what's going on, who's really who they say they are. And they did this whole thing, this whole idea of like a camera flash can like do stuff to people. And then so you start wondering about that, and then like it's one of those like you want to rewatch it because you put all this stuff together. It's a brilliant movie.
No, it's probably one of the like not only like a favorite movie, but it probably legitimately could be on the list of best of the year.
Yeah. I mean, it just tells its own story very, very well, and that's kind of hard to do.
Which, speaking of Twilight Zone, he is going to be a part of the reboot of it.
Yeah, I think you told me about that. And just based on Get Out, is like that made me, like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about Twilight Zone, because like I said, I'm fans of the old black and white, the old imagine if you will,
Well, and I mean...
the second they went to color, I was kind of like, eh.
And I mean... what's nice about Twilight Zone is it kind of played with fears of that time, where there's a whole different fears, and I think kind of the background of Jordan Peele, he really can probably tap into some of those fears really well, and and if Get Out's like his debut, with more and more experience, I'm excited to see where he goes as a director, as a producer, I
agree.
And writer.
Some of my favorite episodes of Twilight Zone were just some of them that weren't even scary. Like there's this whole episoidal. Hey, there's this episode about the about some guys. About all these different characters trapped in a room, and then when look it up, is like a cowboy, a clown, a ballerina, like a hobo, and they're all just trying to get out of the room because the ceiling's opened up, and then like when one of them finally gets out, it falls to the ground and it's a toy, and then like a little girl passes, they zoom out and it's
I remember that.
It's like spoiler for a show from the 1950s, but yeah, they like it. Basically, it turns out there are a bunch of toys in a donation dump, a donation bin, and they don't know it, and that's why they're all different. Like I guess like the modern version of that is it would be like an Optimus Prime, a Batman, a G.I. Joe, and a Ninja Turtle are trapped in this room, but that would kind of give away the story. And so I mean, like those episodes where they're like not really scary, but by the end you're just like, whoa, cool. It's like that's, and I think that Peele could actually do that. he could really peel back those layers.
You peel back those layers. Anyways, moving on to your last pick for your favorite movie of 2017.
My last pick, it's Power Rangers. Yeah, let's go. I freaking loved Power Rangers. That's my number one pick, man. I really nervous about it. Again, very nervous about it going in. At first, I was like, man, I hope they do it justice. But, I mean, like, you watch the old show, like, none of it really made sense.
No.
I think, like, by season 2, they kind of realized, like, some of these episodes should have some kind of chronology. But, I mean, there really wasn't much one. In the beginning, anyways. And, you know, to put an actual story to it, like, all the mythos and everything, that's what I was going to say. It's all mythos. Like, you kind of just have to, as a fan, when you get later, in your later years and more educated with it, and you've watched all of it, then you kind of put it together and say, like, okay, well, this is actually what was going on, you know, and all of it's just theory. But, or a hypothesis. And, but, man, they did so amazingly well with like putting the story together, and it goes at like a breakneck pace is I guess my only argument with it is like it goes fast. You know, we're like on to the next thing very, very quickly. And but man, like you know, they mix and matched all the characters. The girl who played Trini, like one, you know, they do this like where they all have like teenage problems, but all their problems are so unique. They really modernize Kimberly's role.
That I appreciated is like all of these like kind of quirks with these characters,
right.
not quirks in a bad way, but kind of like their character flaw or something that makes them unique was very like modernized, very they match. Yeah, it's relatable to the year, you know, to the decade, to this generation.
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah, like her whole thing where like she just took some, like got a hold of some dudes and spread them out, and then like she had to deal with like her father actually seeing that, which, you know. And the part that always gets me is like later in the movie when they actually have the Zords, and like she accidentally like drops a car on top of that girl's car that she got the nudes and did all this, and she laughs, and you just kind of laugh like, oh, those are the girls that were giving Kimberly crap, and you just kind of forget the fact that well, now that Kimberly has destroyed her life, she's also destroyed her car. Like that's hilarious. And they do a little tidbit where, you know, like you know, where they throw a yellow like sports car, and he's like, sorry, Bumblebee. You know, and but yeah, like Jason is just this jock that wishes he wasn't a jock, and Billy is on the spectrum, you know, and like he's just kind of in over his head. And oh, man, I still to this day, like at least like once every 3 weeks, I watch all the stuff that happens with Billy, and dude, I'll tear up like that. It was great. I thought it was great character development. Trini, you know, being gay and like always being the new kid, and you know she can't fit in anywhere because she's always moving, and then like once she's established somewhere, she has a problem accepting her own sexuality. You know, so it's so cool how they like there's just something there for like every teenager, you know. And but man, I had a blast with this. The Zords looked amazing. The Rangers looked amazing. And there's so many reboots out there. You know, Ninja Turtles, you know, the Justice League. I think He-Man is next. But one thing that I actually got in my Power Rangers movie is the Zords running with the Power Rangers theme playing in the background. It's like this kooky part where the Triceratops is running backwards, and Alpha 5. So I guess Alpha. He says, go Power Rangers, and the theme song hits, dude. You better believe I was up off my feet, just freaking out, like nerd raging. I was 12 years old again.
And it was kind of surprising that how little the Power Rangers were in this movie. They made it more about the kids and more about like coming together to actually, and kind of like when Goku transformed into Super Saiyan, it actually meant something, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, we got these things, cool. cool. We can do this anytime we want.
It was the turning point of the entire series.
Right.
This is all I'm going to say, but it's the same with Berserk. That's it. That's it, though. Okay? The eclipse happens, whole other series. You know?
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we're just going to leave it there. But yeah, dude, those are my 3 movies, man. Is Justice League, Get Out, and Go Power Rangers. And I cannot wait for the next Power Rangers movie.
No, I'm pretty excited. Gonna grab me a bunch of Krispy Kremes and...
Good Lord, yeah. Oh my God. Saying Krispy Kreme is the source, where all power lies and where all hope is. Like, good Lord, they really got their money's worth in that product placement.
They sure did. But anyways, I'm going to let you wrap it up because it is your show after all.
It is my show. It's the Code Breaker. So, you know what you need to do right now? You need to click. Because I can actually move around the symbols and move around the links. So, you need to click right here. Right above August's head. Because this will give us a subscribe. And if you go here, you can find some other videos that are related to us. I cannot talk tonight. You can find some of our unboxings of Pokemon cards. You can find us, playing with some toys. You can find the Chris Chronicles. You can find August Omega, which I think you have the most videos out there right now.
I think I do somehow. Like, that's so weird. I'm not good on camera, and yet I have the most.
You're rocking it, man. And right here, you can find my podcast. If you want to listen to a redheaded guy talk about cancer, click right there and you can go to Everyone Has Cancer.
No, it's a really good show. You really should listen to it, especially, and it's not...
It's a lot more serious.
It's a lot more serious, and it's not necessarily about cancer. It's about just going through life. Mm-hmm. And I just think you tell a story so well.
Well, thank you.
So definitely check that out.
But yeah, I want to thank August for infiltrating my show here.
Well, thank you for letting me break the code.
Yes, sir. Too sweet. See you guys.